All right. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Welcome once again to one of our very famous and very regular Women's Club. Today, we have a special speaker, Jennifer Stratton, and she'll be talking about the art of good communication. And I'd like to take this opportunity to just let you know a little bit more about the Asian Chamber of Commerce here in Austin. So we are the leading partner of driving local economic growth for businesses with ties to Asian and Asian Americans. And our mission is to promote the Asian Pacific American community as a catalyst for local and global economic growth through advocacy, connections, and education. We have many programs and services for our members, and these are a couple of our reoccurring signature programs. We have the Business Essential Workshops that go on almost on a monthly basis. In fact, our next one is next week, September 14th, I believe, and it's on the topic of historically underutilized businesses and how you can get certified and work with Texas State as well as the Austin ISD. Then we also have our wonderful Women's Club, which you're all part of today. Thank you very much for joining. This is led by our champion, Stephanie Louie, who is here today and who manages this and coordinates this, always with a lovely topic, subject, and it's a wonderful opportunity for women leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, workers to come together and connect, learn something new, have fun, and support one another. And then we have our member mixers. These are wonderful opportunities for our members and our businesses in our greater community to come together, network, meet someone new, get some new business contacts, grow their company, and also it's usually on a theme. For example, this coming our very next member mixer, which is on the 27th of September. It will be about international market briefing, specifically the country of Malaysia. So hope to see you there too. And none of our programs and our services are possible without our corporate partners. So thank you very much. Oh, and I saw So is one of our corporate partners. So thank you, Jenna. We have one of our corporate partner representatives here today. Please also check out our social media. We have very active posts and platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so forth. And if you are not a member and you would like to be or interested to participate and engage with the Asian community, business community, I apologize. Well, scan this code and check us out and join us. We'd love to have you. And with that, I will pass it back on to Stephanie, our champion for the Women's Club.
Thanks, Mark. So just a quick plug for our food vendor, who is a member restaurant, Caribou Express. Please check them out if you are hungry for lunch or dinner today. I'm putting the website that you can order into the chat. And if you put in GAACC 10, you'll get a discount. So that's good all day today. They do Filipino food, I believe, so that's exciting. So it's in the chat. Please go ahead and order from them if you are interested in getting some good Filipino food. And I'm going to introduce our speaker, my good friend, Jen Stratton. Jennifer Stratton is CEO and founder of StratSpeak, a company that helps human beings become more confident in public speaking one word at a time. Jen is a speechwriter and communications consultant with over 20 years experience. She has coached high school debate, written political speeches, trained busy professionals, and served as communications director for area businesses. Jen is an amazing person, and I think you're really going to enjoy her expertise in communication today. Thank you so much, Jen, and go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Stephanie. It is always a pleasure to get to hang out with you, and I am so excited to get to be here today to speak to you fabulous women on something that usually makes most people feel very uncomfortable. My name is Jen Stratton, and I do for fun what most people fear more than death. Now that I have your attention, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So a little bit about me. I have lived in the Austin area as of this weekend, 18 years. And I am excited to be able to say that. I came to Austin because I married a native Austinite, and you can take them out of Texas, but not for long and not successfully. I am originally from the Chicago area, so I do rep my Bears. We stink, I know, I can live with that. I have a Bachelor of Arts from McKendree University in Southern Illinois, and my major was political science and my minor was speech communication. And when I was 16 years old, my parents asked me, what did I want to be when I grew up? And I said, I'm going to write speeches. They looked at me like I was crazy. They are not entirely wrong. But here I am in my mid-40s doing the very thing that I love most in the world, and I am incredibly blessed to do so. My husband, Eric, and I have a pair of rabid teenagers. Madeline is 17, and John Wayne, yes, I have a kid named John Wayne, is almost 15, and we are busy and crazy, and it's a lot of fun being in their sphere. And probably my son is hands down my favorite client because he is now becoming a theater person. And it's so much fun to get to help him learn to find his voice in an ever-evolving communication sphere. With that, it is my joy to get to be a part of helping professionals like yourselves tell your story, not just in a business meeting, but as you're networking and as you're out in the community. I am convinced everyone has a fantastic story. They are all poignant and beautiful and hilarious. And good communication is what brings everyone together. And especially in the business setting, clear communication and excellent expectations solve 99% of the world's problems. And who doesn't need more of that these days? So StratSpeak exists to help clients achieve great communication goals. Our tagline is, we coach confidence, one word at a time. This is done through the goals of public speaking, interpersonal communication, and public information. Show of hands, at least privately, so you don't have to unblack your screens. It's okay. But did you know that companies lose clients and profit because of poor communication directly? It amazes me that as technologically advanced as we are as a society, we are daily losing good communication skills, either because of lack of comfort or lack of time. And while as a busy business owner and mom and community member, I certainly appreciate those constraints, but it is never too early or too late to learn to be confident telling your story. Businesses do thrive when communication is clear and strong. So how can a strong communications background and skills help your business? Well, so glad you asked. A clear mission statement tells potential clients what your business is about and what you can do to be of assistance to them. In external communications, we find that it promotes a company by better utilizing media and working closely with a marketing team to make sure that your brand message is on point. Helping leadership and employees polish public speaking skills guarantees an excellent return on investment as leaders work together to promote and support strong relationships. It fascinates me to hear when we don't realize how tied marketing and communications is, and really how they work hand in glove. We can't have one without the other. And it is critically important, especially in today's fast-paced media cycles, that our communication and our marketing is working together to promote our businesses at their optimum. So my favorite part of what I get to do is helping my clients and the greater public become more confident as a communicator. And there are a variety of ways to go about this, and some of them look ridiculous, but I promise you they are all effective. One thing that I've been doing since my high school debate days, which has been farther along than I care to remember, is a simple thing that my son calls the pen trick. I would encourage all of you to find a ballpoint pen, just a simple ballpoint pen, and put it between your teeth. I know, it feels hilarious. It feels ridiculous. But what this pen does is promotes the muscle movement right here in the facial structure. I can guarantee you excellent results if you practice your pen trick 5 minutes every day. And simply practice speaking with a pen between your teeth. Clear enunciation solves a variety of poor communication issues. Specifically, if you have a tendency of mumbling when you are nervous, having excellent enunciation automatically overcomes that. The other problem that many speakers face when they get nervous is speaking too quickly. I have a rabid 14-year-old who suffers through that, and the number of times I've said, slow down, take a breath, I can't understand you. I could retire a wealthy woman tomorrow if I had a nickel for every time I had to do that. But I have found with the pen trick, as we practice this, and we are diligent about it, if you can be understood with a pen between your teeth, you can do anything. Now, most people feel a little silly talking to themselves in a mirror with a pen between their teeth. I'm no longer one of them because I've been doing it for so long. What I encourage my friends and family and clients to do is, with the pen between their teeth, speak in tongue twisters. I know, it's so simple it can't possibly work. I will prove you wrong. Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. For nobody's toes are poses of roses, as Moses supposes his toes to be. Taking the pen out, Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. For nobody's toes are poses of roses, as Moses supposes his toes to be. Every now and again, the old debate hacks work. And if one is really feeling super confident, Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously, for nobody's toes are poses of roses, as Moses supposes his toes to be. Every now and again, I feel like showing off a little. Another fun way of helping folks become more confident in public speaking is, and I want you all to respond to this one, how many times a day do we hear, like, you know? Let me hear it.
Many times.
Many times.
By the way, Jen, you're doing awesome. And if I was in your place and nobody said anything after I did that activity, I'd be like, oh my God. Anyway, there's some comments in the chat thing, but I guess everybody feel free to say something when you want to or when you need to. I'm
Seriously.
sure you'll only add to the presentation. Thank you, Jen.
Absolutely.
I'm about to put a pen between my mouth.
I think you should. So I personally can no longer handle hearing and Stephanie has heard me make jokes about this for a very long time, and she also knows what I'm about to show. There is one very easy, fun way to help people stop saying which is called a fluency break. And it's basically a verbal pause. So I coach people to simply stop and take a breath. But if they must insist on saying or or like or you know, I bring out my trusty Nerf gun. And I shoot people with Nerf guns until they talk the way I want them to. Because most people don't realize how often they have fluency breaks. So when I'm coaching a client, I am fond of, first of all, having a visual tally of how many times they say it. And then I open fire. My favorite target right now, hands down, is young Jack. And he's continually amazed that people pay me to do this. And I remind him his grandmother is equally shocked that this is how I make my money. And then he decided, well, if it works for you, maybe it'll work for me. Here's hoping. Train him young. I have found that when we are unconfident in our words, the fluency breaks happen far more frequently. And when we are not confident in our presentation, either in conversation or in public speaking, our message loses out. And if we're not showcasing ourselves at our best, then we're not showcasing our businesses at their best. And that, friends, is a great disservice to us all. So among the things that I get to do to help my clients become confident one word at a time is, first, I help my clients write speeches. I can range anywhere from, hey, Jen, I'm giving a presentation at Greater Austin Asian American Chamber, and I need a 10-minute speech on pick a topic. Can you help me? Absolutely. And that's where the fun really begins, is me getting to sit down and have a conversation with my clients and get to know their story and find out what stories they want to tell and how they want to tell them, and getting to weave their words together and make magic happen where they feel confident and polished and excited about public speaking. Probably my favorite Jerry Seinfeld quote is 96% of all people fear public speaking more than they fear dying. So if you're at a funeral, you're better off in the casket than you are giving the eulogy. And I actually have a t-shirt from my college debate days that reads, I do for fun what most people fear more than death. And it's fun weaving stories together in an engaging manner that tells the story that the client wishes to tell. Now, most people will find that even once they've got the most fantastic speech ever written in front of them, they're too nervous to get up and speak it. And my daughter was laughing at me this morning as I was rushing around to put the finishing touches on what I wanted to say today. I had my slides ready, but a good presenter always has last minute notes to write. And I told my daughter, I am a little nervous. After almost 25 years of public speaking and coaching and writing, it's how we use those nerves to our benefit rather than to our detriment. And that's one of the things that I like to coach too, is helping clients feel comfortable in their own skin. I also teach message management, simply meaning make certain that whatever message that we wish to communicate is truly the one that gets communicated. Whether it's a TED Talk in front of 1,000 people or an intimate setting on Zoom where we're just among friends. Working to make sure that our message is the one that we want is key to speaking confidently one word at a time. If we follow these simple ideas, then we can produce professional and polished speakers. Something else that I enjoy doing is offering classes to promote better interpersonal communication between business members, and making sure that everyone in the company is aware and polished on what the main talking points for whatever business is. I tell my kids all the time, clear communication and good expectations solve 99% of the world's problems. I know I said it earlier, but I cannot stress it enough. It truly will. And it's imperative for businesses to be on message all the time. Another aspect of good communication within a business is public information services. Most of us in our businesses do not have a need or the financial ability to pay for an in-house communications director. We simply don't need it. But what we do need is the ability to promote our businesses. And one thing that I've done in the past is manage a message, craft a message, and teach the message within a company so that everyone is always clear in the expectation of what it is that we're promoting. Along with that, as I have served as spokesperson for a couple of different businesses and entities here in Williamson County, I've acted as their spokesperson so that they don't have to. We're all busy. We all have our strengths. And it's my privilege to get to come alongside people and get to help them tell their story. So StratSpeak is simply a one-stop communications shop where we provide a hands-on approach to manage and craft and teach your message. It's exciting to get to do this. Eunice, excellent question. Books, podcasts, or resources that I have found. I am a fortunate woman to be a student long-term of good communication. My husband laughs that when he married me, he had no idea that he was inheriting several volumes of great speeches. I'm a collector of the spoken word, and I actually keep on bookshelves and nightstands and pretty much any surface that I can lay claim to books of famous speeches and getting those words in my heart. Probably show of hands or put up in the chat. Who here has seen or heard of the musical Hamilton? Probably my very favorite is Alexander Hamilton writing Washington's farewell address, because it was personal. And it still, hundreds of years later, has stood the test of time and is truly an inspiration. The reason I became a speechwriter, and I knew I wanted to do this at an early age, is our words become our ideas become our actions, and our actions change the world. And I wanted to be a part of changing the world. And I get to do that every single day. And I get to inspire that and help people tell their story. I would encourage all of you to take a look at some of the great political speechwriters. It doesn't matter what side of whose aisle you're on. There are fantastic men and women who are crafting our country's message. That one of my favorite podcasts is ironically a political speech podcast. There are several out there. I encourage you to take a look at all of them. I don't want to recommend just one simply because everyone has different ideas and they're certainly entitled to them. I would also encourage the art and science of excellent communication through conversation. We live in really interesting times. And in fact, when I was in Washington, D.C. as a Senate staffer, I still joke that I was there at a very boring time in American history. I was there from 2000 to 2004. And getting to watch everything from the 36 days that we didn't have a president to 9/11 to anthrax, and seeing the way our country has come together and divided and argued and stayed together is amazing. And all of that is communication. And if there's something that aggravates you, by goodness, stand up and say so and engage in that debate. And if you need help writing it, I know a girl. I can be found at 512-569-4702 or jen@stratspeak.com. It has been my distinct pleasure to share my thoughts, ideas, and hopes with you, and I look forward to getting to chat with you now.
Are we open for more questions?
Heck yes, bring them on.
So Jen, I have a question. I know that people say communication actually is not even so much about the words all the time. A lot of it has to do with nonverbal cues that you give off. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about that sort of, when we maybe don't have the words, the right words, because I feel like words can sometimes really disappoint us. What do you suggest? There you go. What do you suggest we practice, or things that we do to work on our nonverbal communication skills?
An excellent question, and I thank you for bringing that up. Certainly, our nonverbal communication is a key component to our message. In fact, studies have shown that our nonverbal communication influences 90% of our message. As Stephanie said, it's not what we're saying, it's how we're saying. Are we appearing engaged to our listener, using good eye contact, using appropriate hand gestures? Are we standing too far away or too close? All things that we can be cognizant of as we're crafting our message. And probably my favorite joke when I'm talking about the grand arena of public speaking versus a conversation is know your hand gestures. You don't want to accidentally whack somebody in the face because you're doing an Evita style hand movement that would be entirely appropriate in a large arena on a stage. But if you're in a mixer setting, you're going to knock somebody's drink out of their hand. Or if you're like a crazy Hungarian Norwegian woman who has accidentally gestured too broadly, you better have a good joke in your arsenal, because otherwise that gets to be a very uncomfortable conversation with the person that you just spilled their Chablis all over. Might have happened a time or two. I would also encourage folks to make sure that as they're gesturing, because hand gestures really are the biggest thing that trip people up, because either we're too scared to move our hands, and so we stand very stiffly and we look even more nervous than we actually are, or we're overcompensating with the big gesture. Lynn, an excellent question. Changing my voice? Yes, tone is enormously important. And it amazes me even now that if I'm in a public speaking setting and the microphone dies, we've all had it happen to us. It's enormously frustrating. But how does one project loud enough so that they're overheard, or so that they're heard, but don't sound angry? Being cognizant of one's tone is enormously important. I speak differently to my kids than I do to my husband. Actually, no, take that back. Sometimes I speak in the same tone to my husband and my kids. They're kind of interchangeable depending on the mood. I knew I could get a laugh with that one. Depending on how quickly a situation needs to be diffused, let's say that we have an angry client who is ready to tear us all apart, either in person or on Yelp. Making sure that we speak in a softer, calmer, no matter how frustrating it becomes, and it does. And that's where not only the nonverbal comes into play, but also making sure you know your message. When I was a staff assistant, which you want to talk about a frontline job, 12 million angry people in the state of Illinois, and I think I talked to 11.5 million of them. Knowing what talking points I had in front of me at my arsenal so that I could communicate effectively and stay on point and on message. Yes, that is one of the books, The Art and Science of Communication. I recommend it to everyone. And if digging deep, there's also a number of interpersonal communication books out there. I would encourage everyone to take a look at that, especially as we're leaders in not only our community, but also in our businesses. Having appropriate ways of communicating with employees and having them know that the door is open to ideas, conversation of that notion is enormously helpful to a safe and productive work environment. If reading deep communication books isn't your particular brand of tea, which I totally understand, I'd encourage you to research some of the fabulous speakers of the past and present. Listening to Eleanor Roosevelt on audio is amazing, but being able to read her words and dig into her notes as she changed the world around her is inspiring every day. Getting to, on this side of history, hear Barack Obama's words as he communicated through some turbulent times. As we approach the 21st anniversary of 9/11, rereading George W. Bush's impromptu speech, "I hear you, and soon the world will hear you," still evokes a memory. Our words have the power to change us, to break us, to inspire us. And we get to do this every day, and we have an unlimited store to do so. How cool is that? We literally have the ability to change hearts, minds, and the world around us simply by having a conversation. I literally love what I do. And in case you hadn't noticed, I am absolutely unafraid to talk about how cool it is. Aren't you guys glad you came to show up today and geek out with me?
Jen, I'm curious because I hear from a lot of Asian women that they often feel uncomfortable because in the Asian culture, we're a little bit more keep your head down, be silent in a sense, don't like speak when you're spoken to kind of thing. And for some people, for some of us, there may be some embarrassment or confusion or concern around not being well received because of accents or just differences in culture. Is there anything you would say to people who either don't have English as their first language, who are concerned about communicating, or people who just feel because of cultural differences, they don't feel comfortable communicating, things that you would encourage them with?
Absolutely. To the first part of an accent, one, having been a transplanted Texan and having to overcome not only the Chicago in my voice to my mother-in-law, who is a native Texan, and then trying to figure out that bless your heart does not actually bless my heart. That was confusing. And trying, yeah, those of us who are not native Texans, it took me a hot minute to get around that. But my favorite way of making sure that my accent, while remaining authentic, and it took me a long time to get most of the Chicago out, but it still rips out every now and again, your pen trick and your enunciation. Working these muscles right in here. I mean, seriously, the pen trick is leg day for your mouth. And because it forces the mouth to move, there's a huge difference between, hi, my name is Jen Stratton, and hi, my name is Jen Stratton. And once we can get this to work for us, It doesn't matter what our accent is, we are still able to speak clearly and confidently. As to making sure that we feel confident as women, and I absolutely agree with the cultural barrier. Most women, regardless of culture, are taught at an early age to speak when spoken to. Obviously, I've blown the door right off of that one. My father wishes I hadn't done it quite at such an early age. I would encourage all of us to remember that we're running businesses. We're doing something that most women dream of doing. And we're going after that big dream. And that's inspiring. And that's fantastic. And we are experts in our homes and in our businesses. Square your shoulders, ladies, and take charge. We have no problem doing that in our homes. Why should the business world be any different? I'm fond of reminding my own daughter, who is differently abled. We found out recently that Maddie has a rare form of muscular dystrophy, and she has survived open heart, skull, and eye surgery before she turned 18 months old. She's now 17. And she is my inspiration every day to live my life authentically. Maddie is nonverbal, but she types like a mother. And she is absolutely unafraid to share every opinion she's ever had. I would be terrified to live like her. But it is an amazing inspiration to get to do the same. We all have something important to offer to the table. Let's not be afraid to share our voice.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions for Jen? Take advantage.
Yeah, following up on Stephanie's point, that we sometimes, I don't want to stereotype, but sometimes we have conflict with how we grew up, that we are taught to be humble, and at the same time that I'm coming from a big city, Hong Kong, and we tend to be very direct. Like, it's almost like the New Yorkers, that they don't have time for sugarcoating things and just go straight to the point. So I think both traits are kind of in conflict with like where we are in Texas. Like, you need to be really sweet and nice when you talk, and not to just go straight to the point. And at the same time, that people are very good at talking about themselves, and they kind of sell themselves like, I guess, long instead of short. And so, and I think personally, I have the tendency feeling very uncomfortable about talking about myself. And I don't have an issue talking about others, but even like saying my own name makes me uncomfortable. So how do we address that? Like, one is that sometimes being uncomfortable, talking about ourselves. And then the second one is like, what is the like gauge of being too direct? Or, is that being direct is a bad thing?
Excellent question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
First, I would encourage you to remember probably one of my favorite things that unfortunately has come from, among many sources, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby. It's not bragging if it's true. Which sounds ridiculous. But think about this. We are educated women. We have gone and done some amazing stuff, and so has everyone around us. It might not always feel like it, but we do cool things every day. And we've all got cool stuff hiding in a storehouse of stories. If it's true, it's not bragging, it's the truth. And I'd encourage us all to tell our truth. And in regard to whether or not you feel like you're telling too much or too direct, that's where your audience awareness comes in, and your own confidence as a speaker. And that's something that just takes time and practice, and the willingness to dig in to simply square the shoulders and get on, because no one is going to be a better you than you. And no one is going to be able to tell your story, personally or professionally, better than you. I can write pretty words all day long, and I can tell you how to say them. But at the end of the day, if we're unwilling to be our authentic selves, the words fall flat. Does that help?
Yes, definitely. I'm very good at being myself. That is not an issue.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Then I mean, because most of us, men, women, children, we're kind of taught in some ways to conform and to be willing to hide different parts, or at least temporarily do so. And that's boring. And it's inauthentic and it's no fun. And that's why I tell people my favorite part of my job is helping people tell their story and getting to hear their stories, because everyone is so cool. And we overcome so much when we just let people tell their story and are willing to tell ours.
I'm completely with you about the authenticity.
And don't get me wrong, having a computer hacking 17-year-old who's profoundly disabled is a lot for most people to hear right away. And yes, she does. She actually hacked iTunes from a school computer in the first grade and downloaded songs without the use of an account or a credit card. That was a fun conversation with the assistant principal. I wish I could say she stopped. She hasn't. We're just trying to find different ways of channeling this so that she doesn't violate federal law.
Jen has an amazing story, an amazing family, and she helps all of her clients tell their stories because she honestly is one of those people who believes that every person should be able to communicate their story well and authentically. So I would really encourage all of you to get to know her better since we had the opportunity. But we are going to go ahead and move into our networking session now. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing with us your knowledge and your wisdom and your expertise. I am going to put into the chat right now the link to our feedback survey, because I know some of you are going to have to leave early. Please, with the cherry on top, fill this out. It takes literally 5 seconds, and it really helps us get a better idea as to how we should be formulating our women's club meeting from, moving forward. And yes, we really appreciate the feedback, especially if you have recommendations for future speakers or food vendors, things like that too. I know Emlyn, who's going to be taking over next year, would be very grateful for that. Okay, so let us go ahead. I think we're a small enough group that we can potentially do this without breakout sessions. I don't know. What do you guys think? There are, what, 9, 10 of us? Do you want to do 2 smaller sessions, or do you guys mind doing something as a bigger group? I'm open to either.
I'm open for us to just be all together. That's fine with me. Whatever is easier.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, sounds good. That will save us a little bit of time.
Hey, Stephanie, I'm going to end the recording here. Thank you so much
Thanks, Mark.
for your presentation.